Tonight on KGW News, an intense 48-hour manhunt comes to a sudden end.
Robert Card is no longer a threat to anyone.
Where police found the gunman who forced a Maine community to hide in their homes. Also tonight, an attempted kidnapping in a Portland park that's seen its share of problems.
The outcome could have been much different.
How this dad says a half-naked woman tried to take off with his daughter and later lost at sea for 2 weeks.
There you go, buddy. Thanks a lot, guys.
How a Washington fisherman was finally found. First at 11, people across the state of Maine are breathing a sigh of relief tonight after the shooting suspect that killed 18 people was found dead. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. Now the focus turns to remembering the lives lost and new questions around if and how the deadly violence could have been stopped. Chris Pallone with the very latest.
In Lewiston, Maine, Friday night, the state's governor announced the news an entire region had been anxiously waiting to hear.
I stand here tonight to simply report that the Maine State Police have located the body of Robert Card in Lisbon. He is dead.
Police say they discovered 40-year-old Robert Card dead near a recycling plant where he used to work, not far from where his abandoned car was discovered in the town of Lisbon Wednesday night. Police say he died of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound, a gun found on the ground next to him.
Like many people, I'm breathing a sigh of relief tonight knowing that Robert Card is no longer a threat to anyone.
The discovery followed 2 days of intense searches with hundreds of law enforcement officers. Friday saw police increase their focus on a portion of the Androscoggin River in Lisbon, with investigators looking from the air, walking the riverbanks, and diving beneath the water. This area is where police found Card's abandoned car moments after the shooting rampage Wednesday night that left 18 people dead at 2 businesses in nearby Lewiston.
The river is a big piece of this.
As Friday began, tens of thousands in the region remained under shelter-in-place orders. But with no sign of Card since the massacre, local officials lifted that order Friday night shortly before finding his body. Victims' families are slowly learning more about their loved ones' last moments and sharing stories about how they stood up and faced death so others might have a chance to live, like Leroy Walker's son, Joey.
He could have gone right out the back door. He was only 20 feet from the back door. He wouldn't have been possibly even shot at all. But I knew my son wouldn't do that anyways. I knew that was not going to be Joey Walker.
Now, as the investigation turns to Card's motive, authorities are facing mounting questions about whether he should have had access to guns in the first place. Card's family tells NBC News they were increasingly concerned about his mental health after he began hearing voices and making threats.
There's going to be an opportunity to answer all those questions.
Now, a grieving community can come together to remember the lost, knowing their loved one's killer won't have a chance to kill again. Because of the shelter-in-place orders that have been in effect here over the last couple of days, people haven't had a chance to gather to grieve. There are no makeshift memorials around town. There haven't been any candlelight vigils. Now they'll be able to do that. In Lewiston, Maine, I'm Chris Pallone, KGW News.
Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. In Aloha, one person has been found dead after a house caught fire this afternoon. Tualatin Valley Fire says several people called 911 around 2 to report smoke coming from a home on Southwest Broad Oak Boulevard. Firefighters were able to quickly knock down the flames, though not before that fire caused serious damage. They found one victim inside. At this point, they are not being identified. No word yet on the cause. The Portland man accused of plotting to shoot up a rock climbing festival appeared in court today. Prosecutors say 39-year-old Samson Garner was planning an attack at the Smith Rock Kragan Classic. Police arrested Garner last Thursday in Central Oregon. A day before that festival, they say they found multiple handguns and a semi-automatic rifle in his car. Garner's being held on $10 million bail. He's scheduled to be back in court in December. And a student teacher in Washington County has been arrested accused of child sex abuse. 24-year-old Mason Dominguez is a George Fox University student teacher who was placed at Sherwood High. Authorities say at least 2 victims have come forward, though police believe there are likely more. Charges include using a child in a display of sexually explicit conduct and luring a minor. The investigation began in April. Authorities say Dominguez was immediately removed from the Sherwood High School campus. New at 11, a Portland father is sounding the alarm after a woman apparently in crisis tried to kidnap his daughter from a local playground. As Catherine Cook reports, it is a spot neighbors say has been sliding downhill.
Stop this woman and get my daughter back now.
The words flashed through Scott Marr's mind when a visit to Couch Park with his daughter took a terrifying turn.
In minutes, this woman comes trotting into the area.
It was October 12th, around 6 p.m. Scott says his 7-year-old daughter was on the playground off Northwest Gleason, and that's when the woman came over, wearing nothing but a t-shirt.
So I called 911 because it's totally inappropriate to have a half-naked woman climbing on a structure, doing flips, falling down, all sorts of stuff with kids.
While on the phone with dispatchers, Scott says the woman grabbed his daughter and tried to run off with her.
The woman literally got 5 steps before I grabbed the back of her head by her ponytail, put her down on the ground, and got my daughter and got out of it.
Police tell KGW the woman was having a mental health crisis and was hospitalized on a police officer hold. Scott says his daughter was scared, but not injured.
Had this been an adult male on crack with a weapon, this could have totally been a different outcome.
Just last month, neighbors reported an incident involving a guy with a machete at Couch Park. They say he used it to threaten people as they walked by. Neighbors held a rally against increased illegal activity in this area. They noted there's always illegal camping and open drug use in the park, and that the city's response has been slow.
It's pretty sad. It's sad. I'm hoping neighbors getting together can perhaps change things. We can make a presence in the park and take our park back.
Police say while they didn't have probable cause to arrest the man, they did take his machete. They also said they'd ramp up patrols around the park. Scott says more needs to be done. Much more.
I really want the city of Portland to really start working towards a better solution in solving the homeless problem, because now a child's been involved.
In Northwest Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Well, now to an incredible story of survival after a Washington fisherman who'd been missing for 2 weeks at sea was rescued. The boat with a 2-man crew left Westport back on October 12th. It was expected back 3 days later, but never returned. One of the fishermen somehow managed to get into a life raft, this is it, and apparently drifted at sea for 13 days, eventually running out of food and water. Then Thursday morning, some 70 miles off the northwest corner of Washington, a Canadian fishing crew, an uncle and his nephew, spotted him.
Yeah, I just saw something that looked like a life raft in the distance, and I see him waving his paddle around. And then he shot off a flare. We pulled him on board, and he was just overwhelmed. Like, he gave me a big hug and started crying, so it was kind of emotional.
Yeah, I'll say the fisherman is now recovering in a hospital on Vancouver Island. His crewmate has not been found. You're watching KGW News, and straight ahead at 11 on this Friday night, the new Rip City hits the court at Moda. How it all ended for the Blazers' home opener.
And this is how the day ended. An absolute stunner of a sunset with the clear sky out of the coast and everywhere. We've got frosty mornings ahead, but with the clear sky, great opportunity to see the full moon tomorrow.